I just had some great conversations with volunteers of the Stitching Sisters. This is an organization here in Columbus, Ohio that has donated 39,000 quilts so far to cancer patients in the Columbus, Ohio area. Let's go straight to the conversations. So tell me about your quilting journey.
I started sewing when I was in 5th grade.
Oh.
And I sewed my Barbie clothes. I sewed a bedspread for my Barbie bed. Anyway, I sewed a lot. And then I started quilting when my son was born. He's in 1979. And then I just started making t-shirt quilts and quilts for, just different quilts. And about early 2000s, we had just moved here, 2003 or 4 or something like that. I saw an article in the paper about Stitching Sisters having quilt day at the Methodist Church. So I went there, it was packed. So I just took some kits home and made them and took them back.
Okay.
And I would do it once a year or something. And then when I retired in 18, this is it, once a week. And I sew all the time.
So why are you with Stitching Sisters?
Oh, because it's great. It's good for the community. It's, people appreciate us. I appreciate doing it. I mean, I hate to drive by Ohio State and see that big, huge building, thinking that's what it's for.
Right.
Anyway, so I have friends with cancer. It makes me cry. And I love to sew. I love to sew. I love putting colors together. I love making bright quilts. Yeah, I love it.
So what kind of tasks have you done for Stitching Sisters?
Everything.
Okay.
I cut them out. We get backs, we get bindings. We put quilts with quilt backs with quilt tops and get the quilt bindings. We have some groups in Ohio that bring us like 100 quilt tops at a time without backs or bindings. And then we have to get the organized fabric to get backs for each quilt top, get it together, and then get it to the quilter. I had a friend that said we need to write a book about the journey of our quilts, starting from cutting the fabric to, going to someone or just cutting out the kit, going to someone who's going to sew it, and then they bring it back to me, and then someone else quilts it, and then someone else puts on the binding, and so it's a whole travels of the quilt, right?
Yeah, so each quilt would have its own book, right?
Yeah. Right. And, it's, I was a nurse, and so it's really productivity. And so this is very creative. And, boy, since I've started in 18 till now, it's, I can see I'm a lot more creative. I can see things differently. My friends here have helped me just say, no, that's not good. Or, they just, that one over there. She's very good. And so that's really delightful. And to go outside your box to say, oh, I would have never done that 2 years or a year ago, right? And just to
like
put these
combining colors?
Combining colors or just putting it in a situation that you normally wouldn't. Going out of the box. I love that.
Right.
I love finding a little piece of fabric that I love, and then over the years, it might take a while to find other fabrics to go with it, and then it makes a quilt.
Right.
I love that.
Yeah, sometimes you have to wait for the right one to show up.
Right. It's okay to wait.
Yeah.
So, I love it. I mean, I think Joanne is wonderful. She's a great leader. The women are great. I was a nurse, so I'm into productivity. So just to constantly go to lunch or do all that kind of stuff isn't as exciting to me as having something to do every day. And gardening. I'm a gardener, so and feel good at the end of the day.
Right.
I've made a difference. It doesn't really feel like I made a difference. I mean, that's not, but my productivity piece has been drilled into my head from nursing, right?
Right.
Can you take care of 5 patients? Blah, blah.
Yeah, for sure.
So meaningful.
So I love it. I love what I do. I can't, I tell my husband, don't tell anybody that I'm having too much fun.
Well, and as a nurse, you probably feel like when the patients get the quilts, like they feel more at home, and they feel comforted by
Well,
them.
I think people, if you make an effort to care for your patients, I never did cancer. I was mom and babies. I was labor and delivery, postpartum, lactation,
All
childbirth
important stuff.
education. I mean,
Yes.
43 years of mom baby. I did.
Oh my
gosh.
gosh!
So
Yeah.
I know that if you make an effort, they really appreciate it.
Yeah.
If things go well for them in the hospital, which is so important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not something you forget.
No, it's not. Right.
It helps the healing process too.
Right.
So.
Right.
If you talk to women, even older women, and I tell them, I worked in labor and delivery, they'll say, oh, I had the best labor and delivery,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. It's a life-changing event, so you're going to remember pretty
Right.
much everything about it. Yeah.
And what a great hobby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Really blessed. Really blessed.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all here for the same purpose. It's just very comfortable, very relaxed, very peaceful, no tension. It's
Yes,
great. It's
it
really
is.
good.
Yeah.
Big change from nursing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But nursing could be peaceful. There are tension days. It can be peaceful.
Thank
Okay.
you. I
Thank
think
you.
we forgot to ask your name.
Oh, I'm Nancy Darian.
Okay.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you.
The kit.
Okay.
This has the instructions. So this has the instructions. Let's see. This is Sassy Strip, and this is, and here are all the. They're 90 blue pieces, 60 white, and they will be arranged that way.
Oh, you've already
And
cut
then
them
there's
up.
a binding and a border,
Okay.
a little border and a binding.
And
in
they're
the back.
labeled for them so
And
that
the
they
back.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll sew this all together, and then they'll send it back to us, and then we'll send it to be quilted.
It's lovely. Show us this thing here.
Now
too.
we find nice fabric like this butterfly, and then we put it together with colors that go with it, and then I could take this home and use any of our patterns, make a kit
Okay.
like this, and then give it to people. In my community there is a senior living, independent living apartments.
Okay.
And it's National Church residents. And so they found out about us when we were on TV, and then they called. And so every couple months, I take them 3 or 4 kits, and then they give me back the finished quilts, and then I take more quilts, and there's a group of ladies there that do it.
Oh, that's great.
My dental hygienist does it. She found out
wonderful.
about it, and she does it. So, yeah.
So you always cut up the pieces for them, or you said you can also
cut
just
up,
go?
we
Okay.
always cut up the pieces. We have a lot of different patterns. We have a lot of different patterns, and then and then they just put it together.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
How did you get started with quilting?
Well, actually, I'm not a quilter.
Okay.
I have sewn various things since I was quite young, and I just moved to Grove City.
Okay.
So I saw a website or something somewhere online that talked about the Stitching Sisters, and it had contact information for Joanne. So I called her before I even moved down here.
Oh, okay.
And told her my situation, that I was moving to the area and looking for things, interests for me. And since I'd done a lot of sewing, I called her and found out it was all quilting, and said, even though I don't quilt, could I be of help to this group? Because after she explained it, I thought, what a great organization. They're making these lovely quilts and donating to such a worthy cause. So she said, yeah, come on out. And she told me where to go. And so I visited here, and they quilt also at temple in Columbus where they have donated space for them. So I got to go up there and visit that location also. So I met up with these folks just a few weeks ago. So I've only been here a few times. But you can see they are quite prolific in what they produce.
What have you done so far for the Stitching Sisters?
Well, a variety of tasks. So I think Joanne explained that they put together kits for quilts, and a lot of what I have done for them is helping with assembling those quilts. Maybe I'm cutting the back pieces, or putting the bindings together with it, or selecting fabrics that would go in a quilt, like putting colors together. And if you like to sew, sometimes you can get lost in just the fabric selection.
Oh, yeah.
And there is just a sea
A lot of choices.
fabrics and options. So so I can take a lot of time. I can spend a lot of time just on that task alone. So they always find something for me to do, even though I am not technically a quilter. There's ways to keep my hands busy and hopefully contribute to the overall effort. So
well, once you start quilting, you're gonna not be able to stop. So just warning you.
well, I have a variety of sewing machines at home.
Okay.
I don't have a long arm, and I have never pieced together the top, but
Right.
I do want to try quilting one of the tops and backs with an embroidery machine.
Oh,
so,
okay. Oh,
so
that
I have a
sounds
larger
pretty.
hoop, but since I just moved, I can't even figure out where the hoop is right now. So, but I'm gonna do this as soon as I can find all the pieces parts. So,
What kind of sewing projects have you worked on?
well, when I was younger, I used to sew a lot of clothes. I have 3 kids, so I was always doing something for them, whether it was making something, mending something, altering, whatever. I also have an embroidery machine, so I love playing with that. So with that, I've just done a variety of things, whether I'm personalizing blankets, towels, aprons, whatever. There's lots of things that come up with the embroidery machine. But then I also recently invested in a serger. So I've been having fun with that too. So, but that's, I have a new grandson, so, the serger's great for knit clothes, kids' clothes, that kind of thing.
Right.
So
Congratulations on your new grandson.
thank you. We're enjoying this phase. So
Yeah.
anyway, so that's what I've been doing.
Great. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. So congratulations on your new grandson. Thank you. We're enjoying this phase. So anyway.
What's your name?
I am Terry Schwartz.
Terry. Nice to meet you. Go ahead and tell us about your quilting journey.
I don't know where it came from, but my great grandmother, I remember going to her house and she's had quilting frames up, and my grandmother quilted, and my mom, she really wasn't a quilter till she retired, and we went and took lessons together. We would go to quilt shows all the time, but we didn't know how. So we started, when she retired, I made an appointment and we went to learn how to quilt. And I have one done by hand. It's all hand quilted and hand put together. And then I dove into machine quilting, and I have not come up for air since.
Right.
So,
Where did you take your lessons?
you know what? It was a shop in Hilliard. I'm not quite sure the name of it, but
Okay.
it was convenient for me to pick her up from work, and we went there. I just love it. So, and then my sister owned a quilt shop here in Grove City, so I worked there.
Oh, what's it
and
called?
It was called Always in Stitches.
Okay.
But she has gone on to other things.
Okay.
So, but then I started with Joanne. It's been probably about 10 years, and just practicing my quilting and help. And I love the cause. And
So why did you get started initially? With Stitching Sisters?
Say that again.
Why did you start with Stitching Sisters?
You know what? I don't know. I just like the idea of helping people. And this probably sounds terrible, but I could do something from my house and then just take the quilts. I would make some and just bring them here, and they'd pass them on. So I didn't have to see the recipients, because I would probably be in tears. So
Right.
I just, okay.
Right.
So, yeah.
So what all do you do for Stitching Sisters?
Take their material and make quilts
Okay.
and bring them back. I just made that one and brought it back. And
So you make the whole quilt, not just the top?
right, yes,
Okay.
I do it all.
Okay.
So,
Which one is that?
that red, the heart one. Oh no, you just.
Oh, the one we were just looking
Yeah.
at.
And so Joanne gave me a bunch of heart material, so I've
That's
been
beautiful.
cutting
I love that. So
and-
scrappy.
that. I took her 3.5-inch squares. Those were her 3.5-inch squares. So, yeah, just putting them together and it's really sad because at my house there's only me and my husband anymore. So we have a great room, and I have my sewing machine, my little ironing board, my cutting table, and then we eat on this little space.
So you have a small space. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I love it.
Do you know about how many quilts you've donated so far?
No. I used to count and try to do at least 10 a year. So, but lately, I don't know. I finish them, bring them in,
Right.
and so.
And you come here too also to help volunteer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Today, I don't know why, I'm just standing watching them work. So usually I
You have to
do
supervise.
some-
Somebody has to supervise.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'm supervising. So I'm doing a horrible job at it because I'm going, oh yeah, love it. Oh, look at that one. Oh,
They're all so gorgeous.
I know they are, and they're also different.
Yeah, each quilt is so inspirational. You know,
I
I could
know.
make that. I want to make
Yeah.
that too.
Exactly. And Grove City just had their quilt show, and it's so funny. All the quilt shows I've been to, they go, you need to vote when you walk in. And I go, I can't. If it's in a quilt show,
I want them all.
I love it. I love it. So, yeah. So, yeah, just love it. So I got a project sitting at home waiting for me. That's what I like about doing it at home, that I can do it at home, and then I go, okay, time to leave. Leave, come back. Okay, it's still right
Still
there.
waits for you.
It's waiting for me.
Do you make other quilts that are not for Stitching Sisters too?
Oh yeah, I make them for friends. That quilt that I made it into a baby quilt.
Oh, okay. So you made a similar quilt.
Yeah, just not as many squares.
Okay.
And with the heart in the middle, just not as many squares. And to be exact, I even made it I Spy. I like doing I Spy quilts.
Right.
And so I made it an I Spy quilt for my niece and for her first birthday.
Oh, that's so pretty.
Yeah, I like making, I do them for all. So now, since I retired, I have t-shirts. We're Blue Jacket fans, and I found 3 boxes of t-shirts downstairs, and
Oh, let me see.
oh, she wants to
But can we
show
see that one too? Sorry. We're going to be looking at all of them. Oh my God, that's beautiful.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, love the quilting on that too.
I'm sorry.
So
You're good. You're good.
Oh, sorry. Good.
I make t-shirt quilts.
Uh-huh.
So
Sorry for the interruption.
they're heavy, but
Oh yeah.
Oh,
so,
that would be great.
yeah, love it.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
You are more than welcome.
Tell me about your quilting journey.
Okay, so I too am from a family that quilted. I can remember my grandmother having quilts and the big contraption that she would hand quilt on. But my mom didn't quilt, but my mom was a seamstress, so she taught me how to sew.
Okay.
So that's how I started sewing, and then probably when I had my first child is when I started making quilts, and those were by hand. So both of my boys have handmade quilts, and then from there, when I started having grandchildren, I went to sewing quilts. So all of my grandkids have a quilt. My nieces and nephews' children, they have quilts now. My friends, they have quilts. So I love to sew. I love doing this because I like, thinking about making a difference to someone who's going through a hard time.
Right.
And then they get something like this. So I came upon Joanne, I don't remember how long ago it was. It might have been 12 to 15 years ago. She used to have this get-together once a year where all these women would get together at a different church, and she would bring in all these quilts kits, and we would just put them all together, and it was an all-day thing. It was so much fun, and so I would go to that, and I went to that for several years, and then they stopped doing that, and then I realized that Joanne lives like 5 minutes from me. So I got a hold of her, and then I would stop and pick up kits and take those home and sew. And then once I retired, I started coming here to volunteer. So I generally will do whatever she needs. I'll roll, sort, put together backs with tops, and then I'll take things home. Like lately I've been taking home just backs and bindings to put together for the tops of quilts.
So you're rolling a quilt now?
I am rolling a quilt now. So what we do, I don't know if you've seen this part, but we have a card that someone makes. And that's the other thing about this group. It's unbelievable the number of people that are involved and the little parts that they do to put all this together. Somebody makes these cards, someone cuts the kits and puts those together, someone sews the kits, someone else might do the binding of a quilt, someone else might do the quilting, someone's rolling. So it's just so many different hands. It's an amazing army of women and what they do. But the cards are just someone hand makes them, like this one, and then they've got, like a little message inside from the Stitching Sisters, and then this part here talks about the organization and the ways that you can help. So then we just stick these in the quilt, roll it up, and either it goes for a man, a woman, and then we've also been breaking them down into more colorful quilts for the chemo part of the stitch of the James. They tend to like the brighter fabrics better, which we all do. So we kind of separate them out like that. So I don't know if you were aware, but this morning someone came and picked up 14 bags of quilts. So they needed about 70. So that's the other thing that's mind-boggling to me. I know the number we've made here, but I can't remember offhand, but it's an enormous amount. And you think about each one of those quilts went to someone who is going through chemo, through a cancer treatment. So it's heart-wrenching, but yet we're able to make a little bit of a difference and maybe brings a smile to someone's face, when they get a little gift and they know they've been thought of. So, yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
I love
wonderful.
I think she said it was 39,000 last
Yeah,
time she put out
39,000.
That's what I heard
I
too.
can't even.
And that's a mind-boggling number.
mind-boggling.
It's a mind-boggling number.
She's an amazing woman. That all of these women are. They're all amazing, and the time that they volunteer to do this for other people, I think, is awesome. So I'm glad to be a part of it.
Thank you so much.
So it's definitely cancer.
Nothing goes to waste here, so you can probably see that these are the edges of fabric that we've cut off that we're not using for sewing, but we're using it for tying.
That's great.
There you go.
Thank you. Why are you involved in Stitching Sisters?
Quilting journey.
Well, I relocated here about 4 years ago, and so needed to have some friends. So a mutual friend in the area asked me what my interests were, and she hooked me up with Nancy, and Nancy brought me here. So I enjoy sewing. I don't do that much of it anymore, but I love working with the fabric, and I do whatever they need, just like Debbie just said. I'll roll quilts, I'll file fabric away, go to a donation and haul it out. There's just so many little hats to wear.
Right. How long have you been doing this?
Probably 3 years, because I moved here during the pandemic.
Okay. Oh,
So I think it was about this time 3 years ago. So I try not to miss. It's fun, you become friends with everybody.
right. Yeah. How long have you been quilting?
I don't really quilt. I have done a few little projects over the years.
Okay.
I sew, but quilting wasn't my thing. It's just where I found a place to plug in.
Oh, that's great. What do you sew?
I used to do all my clothing. Now I just, drapes, things around the house.
Okay.
Whatever little project. My daughter keeps me busy with projects at her house.
Right.
So,
That's great that you have, that she has somebody who she can just ask.
one of her neighbors said, I need to have this repair done on a child's blanket. Who do you use for things like that? And my daughter said, well, my mom. Oh, well, could we use your mom? It's a necessity. This blanket has to be fixed by bedtime, So I get down to the machine for, little things like that. And every now and then I'll take a quilt home that needs to be bound or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. So tell me about your quilting journey.
So I didn't sew or anything, and one of my dear friends is a quilter, and she taught me how to make a strip quilt, jelly roll, and it was so fun, so easy. I'm like, I want to do this. So I started off with like a little Aldi Singer Isle of Shame machine, and it was terrible. And she goes, you need a decent machine. So I got a decent machine, and then I had breast cancer. So my nurse is real involved with this group, and I was telling her, the crafty things I was doing, learn to sew, making quilts, and she's like, oh, you got to get hooked up with the Stitching Sisters. So I did, and after all that, I fell in love with it. I just said, I want a long arm. I want to do the long arm. I want to do it all. So I got the whole setup. I got the computer, Pro Stitcher, and I love it. I retired a little bit early because of breast cancer and some other health issues, and it just really keeps me sane. And, I just can get creative and go for it. If I was doing this commercially, I would be too timid because I'd have to be perfect. But now I get more daring, and, we come up with great, and these guys taught me so much. I knew nothing. I mean, my quilts weren't even squared.
When did you start?
Probably about 3 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, just 3 years. I've only been sewing 3 years.
Wow. And did you start with Stitching Sisters from the beginning?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, my dear friend taught me, and it's funny. So we have a quilt. We love to do a pattern. It's called By the Bolt. Somebody invented it here. Somebody made it up.
Oh, okay.
And it really showcases beautiful fabrics that we don't want to cut up too much. And so it's big strips. It's real easy and quick. And my friend, who's my teacher, I call her Mrs. Bachbrader because she's my teacher. She has made like 10 of these. She loves this pattern because she goes to retreats and you can whip them out so fast. So I've got her hooked on that too.
Oh, that's great.
But yeah.
Nice.
I just come and work, and we pick up donations sometimes, and we just come to touch the fabric too.
Yeah.
You know how that
That's
is.
the best part.
No, these are pieces that they can use as garments.
Oh.
It's beautiful.
And I am not a perfectionist by any means.
So as you can see that there's a wide variety of reasons why people volunteer for an organization like this. Some of them just like to be productive and have something to do. Other people like the camaraderie that's formed and the relationships that have been formed between all of the people there. Some of them donate their time and money to help people who are going through a cancer diagnosis. And I'm sure there's many, many more reasons beyond that. There's a big number of volunteers. I hope that you enjoyed this conversation with some of the people from the Stitching Sisters. I hope that this conversation inspires you to help out other people with your quilting talents. I also interviewed Joanne Lester, the founder of the organization. If you missed that video, I'll link it here so that you won't miss it. Thank you for watching. I appreciate all your support, and I'll see you in the next video.